Heather Schober, founder of MyHealthTorch.com and co-founder of NeuroTōnz.com. She's a functional medicine certified health coach, incorporating neuroacoustic sound therapy and various mind-body techniques to help her clients reset their nervous systems and place their bodies into a self-healing state. Heather recognizes the body's wisdom to heal itself. She helps her clients awaken their inner healer by removing the physical and the mental blocks keeping them stuck. She uses brainwave tracks, healing frequencies, emotional and mental reprogramming, nutrition, and others. Once the physical and the mental blocks are removed, Heather assists her clients in the next step of their journey, discovering their life purpose and what they came here to do. So today, we will explore this topic and its relationship to healthcare. Welcome, Heather. So, my dear, let's hear it. What is neuroacoustic sound therapy all about?
Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you for that introduction. Neuroacoustic. So neuro means the brain, central nervous system in the brain, and acoustic means sound. So neuroacoustic is how we use sound frequencies to affect the brain and the central nervous system. The brain and the central nervous system are master command for the body. So if we can get to the brain and the central nervous system, we can start affecting what's happening in the body. So I have maybe I'll show it to you actually, just so you know what I'm talking about. Use my massage table right there.
Okay.
So it's a sound table and it has speakers built into it. And so I will have a client sit on that massage table, actually lay on the massage table. And I hook your wrist up to little sensors. And these sensors go into my computer and they show me what your nervous system is doing. It's the real-time state of your nervous system. So our nervous system is in one of two places. We're either in the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight nervous system, adrenaline, cortisol, or we're in the parasympathetic, which is our self-healing, digesting, resting state of the nervous system. We can't be in both at the same time, one or the other. So as you're laying on the table, I have sensors hooked up to your wrist, talking to my computer, pulling heart rate variability, which then shows me on the computer what state is the nervous system in. Most people are in a heightened state of fight or flight. So then I'll watch the nervous system real time, and I'll deliver sound frequencies to the table. And so through this sweep of sound frequencies, we find the exact sound frequency that takes that person's nervous system from the fight or flight into the relaxed parasympathetic nervous system. And that becomes the note.
Sorry to interrupt, but why is that the goal, to take it into that different state?
That's the state that we self-heal in when we're in a parasympathetic nervous system. So we find the note that takes you into that nervous system. And let me go back a little bit and explain why that is so important. So our bodies are designed, however many hundreds of thousands or more years ago, are designed in a way that we're meant to live in the parasympathetic nervous system 98, 99% of the time. We're meant to be in our digesting, healing, relaxed state where all of our energies are flowing.
Okay.
1 to 2% of the time, when there's a true life or death situation, we jump into the sympathetic nervous system. We have the adrenaline and the cortisol and the high blood pressure and the high blood sugar and the muscle tension, all of these physiological responses to help us run from the danger or fight back. When we escape that danger, those energies then flood back and we are in the parasympathetic nervous system again. And that's where we remain. That's how our bodies are designed. So you fast forward now into modern day times, we flip-flopped that. We're in the stress response 98 to 99, 100% of the time, right? And so we're rarely in that parasympathetic state, which is where we heal. So here's the key to what happens when we're in that sympathetic and why we can't heal in that state. When we're in sympathetic, huge physiological responses, thousands of things happen in the body to motivate us and give us the energy to fight back or flee. You know, adrenaline, cortisol, high blood pressure, that's just a couple of them. Where does the body get the energy to mount this enormous response? Well, it robs it, steals it, takes it from the immune system, digestive system, reproductive system, all these systems that are very, very important in the body, but not important during those 2 minutes that we're running from a tiger or whatever that emergency is. So whatever food, whatever hamburger is in the stomach, the digestive system says, I don't have to digest this for the next 2 minutes. Take my energy, get us out of this. And at the end, I'll get it back and then we can digest and move on. That's how we're designed to work. But since we're living in the sympathetic fight or flight nervous system, 98, 99% of the time, that energy never goes back into the body. Those systems are chronically robbed of energy, immune, digestion. They're chronically robbed of energy because number one priority is survival. And so the body will always send that energy to fight or flight when it thinks there's a need. And in modern day society, we're not facing the tigers anymore. But our nervous system hasn't evolved as quickly as our modern day stresses. When you think of what life was like even 100 years ago, no cell phones, no internet, no, all of these chronic stresses we live with.
Right.
How fast can our nervous system adapt to that and say, oh, that's not a stress I need to react to. This one is. So our nervous system reacts to all of it as if it's life or death.
I can see with, what we're eating, what we're doing, what we're trying to juggle, looking at so many things that keeps us amped up all the time. We just go from one conversation to our computer that might give us a jolt to eating something that's got a processed food in it. We're in this heightened state. We never get there. So you're kind of like a lifeline that you're throwing out to people.
Well, what it's doing, it's retraining the nervous system to a new baseline because we've learned to operate in this baseline. But our body systems don't have the energy they need to perform in this baseline. So by finding the note that takes the nervous system from a sympathetic into a parasympathetic state, and by playing that note into the table when you're laying on it, but also into headphones, then you're exposing your body and your nervous system to this frequency that has the effect of calming. And so when you listen to it on my sound table, you're getting it through your cells. Every cell of your body is vibrating to this frequency. And then you take that soundtrack home and you listen to it. It's a digital soundtrack. And so when you listen every day at home, you're reinforcing for the nervous system, this is the calming note. This is the calming note. And at some point, the nervous system, we want it to start saying, oh, you want me to make this my baseline state. You want me to just stay here most of the time. So that's our goal. That's what we're working toward with that. So with the soundtracks, we have two things in the soundtracks. One is what I just explained. It has the note that helps to relax your body from the sympathetic into the parasympathetic. And we can see that's on the computer. So we can see that note. That's the first thing it has. The second thing it has is something called binaural beats. And this is a sound technology where we deliver slightly different frequencies into each ear, which creates the brain to go to different brainwave frequencies. So if we're working on something physical, health related, or we want to reset the sleep system, we'll go to delta. That's the slowest brainwave that we go to when we're asleep. And that's where the body's focused on physical body healing. So that soundtrack, in addition to having the note that helps take the stress out of your body, give your systems all their energy back. When you have all your energy, then we're telling your brain, go to delta and let's work on physical body repair and resetting the sleep system. Or if we're working on emotional trauma, releasing emotions, processing something emotionally, then we'll have your note. We always have your note included to bring all your energies back into your body. And then we'll tell the brain, go to theta and work on emotional processing now that we have all these energies available. Theta is where our brain goes during REM sleep, which is when we're active dreaming. And one of the reasons for active dreaming is for emotional processing and reorg in the brain. Or if we're working on anxieties and belief systems, we'll go to alpha. So there's several different brain states we'll go to. The soundtracks will always have the custom note plus a brain state depending on what we're working on.
So the goal is then, if they're on your table, is to get there in each of us have our own note. Is that what you're saying?
Everything is frequency. Everything in the world is frequency. Your nose vibrates to a different frequency than your lung, than your liver, right? All of this. And so what we're doing with what I just explained is finding the frequency that your nervous system responds to. So we're finding that frequency. There's other frequencies that we can find on the table. I had a client with a broken tailbone. So we found the frequency to stimulate healing in the tailbone. And so when she listened to that, her body was, in fact, she was a Reiki master and an energy healer. So she was very much in touch with her body, and she could feel the healing that was happening in her tailbone as she listened to her soundtrack. So we can find the frequency for anything.
Wow, that's pretty unique. Amazing.
Yeah.
So you can not only help with physical pain, healing people with other chronic pain, but also with the mental stress. You can help them go to a point where this tone is going to assist them, the note, and then you develop like a sound frequency board that they listen to help them like go back to that place.
We would develop a sound home protocol. So they would come to me. We would say, what is your intention? It might be physical, it might be emotional, it might be mental, it might be spiritual. Everything's based on intention. And then, and I say their body would tell us what we need to do. What I'm doing is muscle testing, applied kinesiology, and I'm asking questions of, okay, this person has chronic headaches. What is behind this? What's at the root? What can we do in here that could help this? And then I'll use muscle testing. And so their body is guiding us. And I might say, do we need to do something structural in the body? And maybe the answer is no. Do we need to do something homeopathic? The answer is no. Do we need to do something emotional or mental? And then maybe the answer is yes. And then I would say, okay, and I have a suite of tools I use with emotional and mental release. I'd say, well, which of these tools? So their body guides everything we do based on the intention that they have for that session or for coming to see me.
So how does it help people with like stress related diseases? Can you step us through how someone would approach you, come in, and how that might give them hope that they're going to improve?
Yeah. You know, with stress related diseases, so much of it is we're just stuck in a loop of sympathetic activation, which is just chronic fight or flight. And it's not always just that we're in a stressful society that hits all of us, but with a lot of it, it's trauma from 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago that we may have forgotten about consciously or don't really think about consciously, but it's stored in the body. Like there's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score. So anything stressful that's ever happened to us is kind of stored in the body's tissues. And so the techniques that we do help to release that. These are all blocks to our energy. And when we have blocks in our energy flow, if those are left to remain, at some point, there's going to be a physical manifestation of something, because there's something physical in the body where that block is not allowing energy and nutrition to get to. Okay. So, you know, I would say most of the time when there's chronic disease, chronic pain, there's an emotional cause behind it. And so it can be really enlightening to come in with this type of approach and say, what is it that's causing my blah, blah, blah? I don't know the answer. They don't consciously know the answer, but their subconscious knows the answer, because their subconscious knows everything about them and everything they've gone through and what blocks were created and what blocks need to be released in order for this to resolve. And so we just ask the question, what is it we need to do? And maybe the body will tell us, okay, we need to go to this. I'll give you an example to make it more tangible. Mm-hmm. I had a 17-year-old girl come in here, and beautiful girl. And she said every morning before school, terrible stomach aches, terrible anxiety. And so we asked her body, well, okay, what's at the root cause of this? What can we do? Is it something structural? And the answer was no. I can't remember what else I asked, but then when I got to emotional mental, the answer was yes, it's something emotional mental. I said, okay, well, what technique do I need to use? And it took me to a technique called emotion code. And it took us to certain emotions that were trapped. And then we needed to know more. And so I said, well, at what age did this happen? And it was, I think it was age 14. And so I said to her, okay, so all of it is these specific emotions that are trapped from age 14. What was happening in your life back then? And almost immediately she said, oh, was it this? And it was an instance where she was at a high school football game, got really sick, had to run to the bathroom. One of her frenemies followed her in there with the phone, recorded over the stall, her getting sick, throwing up, diarrhea, all of that. And then immediately posted it on social media.
Oh, no.
And so when she got out of the stall, everybody knew about it. Terribly embarrassing.
Mm.
So her body guided us to this example. We talked through it. I think for her, we did tapping on it. So we tapped through and released some of that. And at the end, she said she felt so much lighter. And then followed up with her, weeks later, and the stomach aches had gone away. So this, someone would have looked at this as a physical problem. It's a stomach ache. It wasn't. It was an emotional problem with a physical result.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
a doctor might have given her like an antacid or something to calm her down for anxiety and
antacid, anti-anxiety medicines,
yeah,
right? Because she
right.
had anxiety with a lot of this.
Sure. Oh, that
Right.
poor soul. But it's so good that you were able to overcome it and help give that person relief.
I think it's so impactful. We can ask the questions to get to the root cause of it. And through this applied kinesiology and muscle testing, we can get a lot of the answers and a lot of the guidance. And we just take that guidance. And then when some of these emotional traumas are released, someone who doesn't even think about their emotional traumas anymore because they happened years ago, they just feel lighter. They just are happier. I had no idea that was weighing on me all of this time, right? It changes your life. And when you feel happier and lighter, your cells are producing happier cells, your energies are better, you see more opportunities, and really life can change.
So this is for something emotional. Are you able to help with chronic disease or things, people that are faced with diabetes, heart conditions? Are they able to get some relief?
When there's emotional components behind it, that's where I can do a lot of the work. Just by using the soundtracks, it can help their body enter their self-healing state. So every case is going to be different, but I would say we can't look at a very, very physical symptom and assume it has to have a physical intervention. There's a lot that can happen when we take the body into its self-healing parasympathetic and let the body's wisdom work on this from a different angle.
Right. I would think that anyone who is suffering from an illness, there's got to be emotional trauma. This would be just something else that they could help themselves get better or improve and maybe start to overcome a little of it. But with, a heart condition or diabetes, that always comes to mind. That's stressful in itself because they're monitoring, they're watching it, they've got to be in that parasympathetic state all the time. So
what's really interesting when it comes to this stuff? Multiple personalities. And they've done tests on this. People with different personalities will exhibit different diseases, different symptoms. So someone who might have a type 1 diabetes in one personality, in a different personality, their pancreas could be functioning. So when you look at that and you think, how is that possible? Because the pancreas is a very physical thing. And if you look at these studies, so much goes to the beliefs and the identity of that persona, right? I don't have multiple personalities, so I have my identity and my persona, which when I have limiting beliefs in place, are going to cause certain things and exhibit certain things in my physiology. But that changes with different personalities, even though it's the same physical body, that can change.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you need to be in person to experience this type of sound therapy? You show the board, the table, you're hooking them up to the wrist. What about someone who doesn't live near you?
Yeah, there's an option for that. So in person, we can go a lot deeper because I can muscle test them in person and we can do the sound on the table, and you need to be in person at least the first time to find your custom note that helps bring your parasympathetic on. So that is at least one in-person session. For those who just can't get here, then there's binaural beat soundtracks. So remember I said there's two things each soundtrack has. One is the custom note that takes you more into your parasympathetic. And then the second thing is that brain state. We can take you into delta or theta or alpha or gamma. So if you're not in person, we can do the binaural beats and take you into those brain states. There's different functions that the body, the mind, the emotions do when you're in these various brain states. So there's a lot of binaural beat soundtracks, and that's getting quite popular with sound therapy. So that version is still very effective. I don't know of any other groups that are finding the custom frequency and overlaying it on top of that. So that's definitely an added boost to it. But if you can't be in person, those other soundtracks doing the brain states are very effective. In fact, I had a friend recently, I gave her the deep sleep soundtrack, one of our soundtracks from NeuroTōnz.com. Just has delta frequencies in it, does not have her custom note. And she said a couple weeks into it, her sleep had reset, which had been off for a couple of years. Hard to fall asleep, waking up at the wrong time in the middle of the night. And a couple weeks listening to deep sleep helped reinforce that. Yeah.
Wow. Now, Heather, do other people do what you do in other states? You're in Dallas, Texas. So where you were trained or what your process is it available in other states? Are you part of an organization or a group?
The sound therapy portion, so the neuroacoustic sound therapy, where you lay on the table, we watch your nervous system, and we find your custom note and put it into custom soundtracks. That is something that came out of the Center for Neuroacoustic Research in California. So I went out there and I trained under Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. And he had practitioners trained really all over the world and a lot of the countries. So that is available. What I specifically have done with my practice is I've merged that technology with applied kinesiology, where I can ask questions of the subconscious. And I've combined it with training with emotion code, touch for health, just various trainings with the energies of the body, the chakras, subconscious reprogramming, limiting beliefs. Those things aren't always included with a neuroacoustic sound therapy practitioner. I've just merged them for my practice.
Okay. That's really exciting though. Gosh, I bet people listening to this wish they were in Dallas. And if they are, they're probably going to go to your website and look you up. That's for sure.
I would love them to. And for my out-of-town clients, if they just come in one time, we'll do an extended session. We'll find their note. We'll do some energy work, try to find some of the root causes of their stuff. And then I'll create a suite of soundtracks and give them the protocol, listen to Delta 1 for 2 weeks, and then Delta 2, and then Theta, whatever their custom protocol is that their body will give us.
Yeah.
And then I'll send them home with all their soundtracks. So that's available if there's just a one-time visit.
So what brought you into this line of work? Because I know this isn't what you went to college for.
It's very far from what I went to college for. I actually have a computer engineering degree and an MBA. And I was, before I got into this, I was a partner at a commercial real estate firm, a local firm here in Dallas. And I got sick. And with so many people in the healing arts, it takes your own personal journey to show you something. And so that's what happened. And my whole story is on my website, MyHealthTorch.com. It involved steroid creams that I used for 25 years because I didn't know better. And overuse of antibiotics because I didn't know better. And between the two of those, really did a number on my immune system and on my digestive system, and ended up kind of having to withdraw from the steroid creams. It was almost like a drug withdrawal. And that threw me in, I got the runaround with a lot of doctors. Sure. And then I found functional medicine and did a lot of healing through functional medicine. And then I found Chinese medicine and did a lot of healing through that. And it was my Chinese medicine practitioner who first used the applied kinesiology to muscle test me. And I remember thinking, I can lay here and you can ask my body what's wrong, and I don't even have to answer you. You'll get answers from somewhere else. It just blew my mind. Absolutely. Right. And so I've merged all of that, and I've learned various things over the years.
Well, I think too, with even just muscle testing, when you can do it yourself and you can say, my name is, and you can muscle test for yourself and and it works. I mean, my goodness, the things that people are able to do within muscle testing, it just blows my mind.
Right. Yeah, you can even go to the vitamin aisle at the grocery store and say, is this best for me? Is it not? Yeah, I agree.
So tell me a little bit about some of the other work that you do, such as like emotional release or subconscious programming, even balancing your chakras. How are you able to do that?
So with balancing the chakras, the technique that I use was taught by me by Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. And, I'll have someone lay on the table. And if I want to test their solar plexus, which is their third chakra, between the heart and the navel, I'll have them put their left hand above it. So you just put your left hand above your solar plexus. You kind of hyperextend your palm a little bit, about an inch above it. With their left hand above it, I'll test any muscle in their body. If it goes weak, what that tells me is that chakra is under energy. That chakra, which is an energy system, doesn't have enough energy. When they put their right hand above that same place, their muscles will stay strong. So the left side of the body is our feminine side, and it's our receiving side. The right side is the masculine, and it's the doing. So when your left hand is above your chakra, you're pulling energy out, you're receiving. So that hand is pulling energy out of that chakra. And if that chakra is already under energy, then your body's going to show a stress response and all your muscles will go weak. If you put your right hand above it, your right hand is your giving side. And so you're putting energy into, and it's the client's hand, you're putting energy into your own solar plexus chakra. Your chakra is under energy in this case. You're putting energy in, all your muscles will stay strong. Because this is life-giving. This is a good thing. And so that's how I'll test the chakras. And then if it turns out to be under energy, I'll use my right hand over their body and I'll go in a clockwise motion, putting energy in. If their chakra was over energy, had too much energy, I'd use my left hand and I would go counterclockwise to pull energy out. And then we'd retest and we'd make sure that whether their right hand or their left hand is above the chakra, their muscles are always staying strong.
Mark Mincola, he is The Way of Miracles, his book, and he does things with the energy counterclockwise and clockwise, depending on too much, too little. And so that's what it sounds like, some Chinese medicine. I love this.
Yeah.
So good. What about like emotional release? Can people actually experience that on the table? Will they just let loose?
So there's a modality, it's called emotion code, developed and taught by Dr. Bradley Nelson. So I went to see him and got trained in this, and really it's using muscle testing to identify, is there a trapped emotion related to whatever symptom you have? And the body will say yes or no, usually there is. And so through muscle testing, we'll get to which emotion is it? And there's a chart of 60 different emotions. And so the body will guide us to whichever one it is. And then we'll say, do we need to know more? Can we just release it? And sometimes we can just release it, and I'll tell you how we do that. But sometimes we need to know more, which means the subconscious needs your conscious awareness to know more about this emotion. So this horror emotion, okay, when did it become trapped? And we'll ask the body, was it before age 20? Yes. Before age 10? No. Okay. Before age 15? Oh, it was around age 13. Okay. Do we need to know more? Nope. Okay, we can release it now. Or maybe we need to know more. And then I would talk to the client and say, what was happening around age 13 in your life? We would kind of figure out what this is. At some point, the body will say, okay, we can release it now. And then we just use a magnet down the governing meridian to release the energy. And I would say about 20 to 30% of the people are sensitive enough to feel the energy is releasing. The other ones don't feel it. It's releasing either way. But those who are sensitive to energies, it's across the board what I'll see in here. My favorite ones are the laughers. Some people just laugh. When they have excess energy, they laugh and they laugh and they laugh. And I don't know why I'm laughing. I don't know. But it's just coming out that way. Yeah. Sometimes there's tears. Sometimes there's heat in the body or sensations or tingles. So they're feeling that energy block coming out.
I'm thinking about if somebody is having an issue with sleeping at night, we hear a lot about that, and they might fall asleep, but can't stay asleep. Or, it takes them forever to go to sleep, and then they might rest for just a short time, and then they wake up again, and their mind is just racing and racing. Are you treating people for like sleep disorders?
A lot of times they'll come in here and that's their intention. So I'm not a certified
Oh,
people to treat sleep disorders, right?
right.
But their subconscious oftentimes knows what's happening. So, usually we start with the delta brain frequencies and start getting them into their deepest state of sleep through delta brain waves. A lot of times that will correct it. And then if it's mental anxieties that are waking them up or keeping them awake, okay, body, what's at the source of this? What's the root? Is it structural? Is it mental, emotional? Is it electrical? Is there chakras that are out of balance? Is the third eye too open and there's too much stuff coming in?
Yeah.
What do we need to do? So the body guides it all.
Wow. I love that, because a lot of people have that issue and they think it has to do with maybe aging, or, they just got a lot on their mind. And that's true with a lot on one's mind. But another person might have a lot on their mind and they just sleep like a rock at night, so it's possible. Everything is possible for people
I
to
agree.
improve.
And aging isn't a recipe for poor sleep and achy bones. I mean, it
No,
doesn't have to be that way. We're meant to slow down as we age. We're not meant to break down.
right.
There's a different way.
That's just so cool. Anything else you want to share about like subconscious reprogramming? You can actually reprogram.
Oh, so most of our limiting beliefs are formed by age 7. And if you think back to your childhood, you didn't have a lot of say in what your belief systems were. So whoever you're exposed to, your parents, your siblings, your caregivers, your teachers, whatever experiences happen up until that age, you're making interpretations of it based on whatever emotions you felt at that time. And then you'll form limiting beliefs around that. And because you're forming these beliefs based on, a 3, 4, 5, 7-year-old brain, prefrontal cortex isn't developed. It's not rational reasoning. Oh, it's not safe to speak up. It's not safe to speak my truth. It's not safe to cry because mommy and daddy get upset when I cry. So it's not safe to express emotions. So we create these limiting beliefs that then follow us through our life, and they can limit us in many ways. But the thing with subconscious beliefs is you can't open a book and say, okay, these are my subconscious beliefs and these aren't. You can't see them. The way we start understanding that we have these subconscious beliefs is we have patterns that keep repeating in our life, even though consciously we want something different, but this pattern keeps happening. I can't hold a job down. I keep ending up with the wrong partner in a relationship. People keep treating me this way, right? That's an indication that there's a subconscious belief that's driving your behavior at a subconscious level that you're not even consciously aware of. So one of the things that I use, I have a document of 1,000 beliefs. And, when it comes up with someone, oh, there's a subconscious belief behind whatever you're going through. And so I'll get my documents and I'll say, okay, which one is it? Is it in this row? Is it this column? And very quickly it takes us and hones in on a particular belief. And then I always confirm it with the body, and I'll have the person state out loud whatever the belief is. I am worthless. Maybe they'll say, I am worthless. And I'll muscle test and their arm will stay strong because they truly believe that they are worthless at that subconscious level. So then we'll ask the body, what else do we need to do to change this around? And the body will guide us. Usually what I found is several limiting beliefs will be stacked on top of each other. And then when it finally takes us to the emotion, their body will say, okay, now it's time for the emotion. We release whatever emotion it was, and all those limiting beliefs will stack back into harmony, back into truth, because it was whatever they experienced in that emotion that created those beliefs in the first place. That's the anchor for them. So that's how we do it.
When you think about by age 7, it's the hand they've been dealt up until age 7 that have really formed very strong, significant beliefs in that child's mind. And some kids are allowed to express and be free and do a lot of things, but others are limited, you know,
Right.
and you just never, you don't realize what an impression you're forming on your children. And it's that young of an age.
That's so true. And you're right, you don't have a choice. But then as an adult, you do. As long as you can come to realize, oh, I'm running a program. That's why this keeps happening in my life. Even though I keep setting goals every year and I want it to be different, I'm running a subconscious program. And the subconscious programs will trump it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at our conscious and our subconscious as a big iceberg, the tip of it is the consciousness, right? You've heard we use 5% of our brain, or you know, whatever the real number is. That's our consciousness. You and I are in our consciousness right now as we're talking. But it's the subconscious that's the foundation that creates our thoughts, creates our initial reactions to things. That's all at the subconscious level.
So if somebody works with you and they acquire their tone or their note, can they not come to Texas or Dallas or something and do any continued work with you?
Yeah, if they have their note, I can always send them their custom soundtracks. I occasionally do like tapping and things like that over Zoom. I don't have as much time for that since I see clients in person, but that is an option for someone. Yeah.
I was thinking if they could help release that emotional subconscious reprogramming to just somehow continue to support and work with them, and they aren't in your proximity, that would maybe be something now with Zoom that could be possible.
Well, and there are emotion code practitioners out there who will work online and they self-muscle test and they can tell you what your emotions are. I don't self-muscle test. I always do the muscle testing in person for people.
Yeah.
So that way I can do tapping online and you know, just talking, and I'll get a lot of intuition that comes through, but I don't muscle test for them.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everyone today about your practice or why they might enjoy?
You know, what I would share is, I think one of the most important things is to understand we have the wisdom to help resolve whatever challenge we have. We have the wisdom inside. And so many times we will outsource our wisdom. We will outsource the answers to someone else. Can you help me? Can you fix me? What is my diagnosis? Tell me what I should do. What diet should I take? Should I eat potatoes or not eat potatoes, right? We look to everyone else for our answers. That's just how we've been raised and taught.
Right.
But when we start to understand, wait a second, there's a part of me that actually has these answers. And if I can get in touch with that part of me, I wonder if I can have the clarity to know what I should do. And maybe going to the doctor is the right thing to do. And maybe following their protocol is the right thing to do. But when we look to the doctor as the only person guiding our health, then we put power outside of ourselves.
Right.
When we look to the doctor as someone who's on our board, our team, our board of health, and a very valuable contributor, but we have the ultimate say, and we can know what feels right and what doesn't feel right. We start getting into that inner clarity, we get to a lot of our answers without giving our power away.
I think it's ingrained in us that, you know, mom knows best, doctor knows best, lawyer knows best. You just, you have that hierarchy, you just, you know, trust in that. But I think now with science and medicine and how we're meeting East and West cultures of medicine, that everybody working together to help heal someone, that it could be a result of like a mold or an emotional trauma, or, you know, just like Lyme's disease, trying to help people. It takes a team, an army, and there are methods and there is methodology out there to support the body to help it heal. And guess what? It's right in here. We've got that power ourselves, that wisdom to help ourselves.
Yeah.
And
we created our own heart and our own liver, right? From two cells that came together, we have that wisdom. It's just tapping into that.
And you give permission to those folks that they can do this, they can heal, themselves. They can.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest impacts through this process is seeing that, wow, because I remind them every time, I didn't do this. I didn't. I just knew how to ask the right questions. I didn't do it. You did it.
That's amazing. That is just amazing. Well, thank you, Heather, for sharing your valuable information with us today. Heather shared with us the mission that she is on to spread information about functional medicine and other healing modalities for people with a chronic medical condition. You can go to Heather's website and sign up for her free e-course that is Master Your Brainwaves, Master Your Life in 7 days. In these 7 daily emails, you will learn about different brainwave states that Heather has touched on today, such as the alpha, the theta, the delta, and the gamma, and their respective effects on the human body. The brainwave soundtracks can help you achieve a variety of goals, including better sleep, anxiety relief, increased creativity. Each e-lesson is designed to take less than 3 minutes to read, and there's no strings attached. And I've been doing this, so I appreciate it very much. You can follow Heather on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and at MyHealthTorch. You can also sign up for her newsletter at www.myhealthtorch.com. Heather's information is also going to be included in the show notes. I want to thank you for listening to the podcast today. And if you enjoyed this, please share my website with friends and family to expand our community and stay updated on newsletters and upcoming podcasts. I deeply value your support. It means a lot to me. If you found this episode enjoyable, kindly take a moment to leave a positive 5-star review on the platform of your choice, such as Spotify or YouTube. The healthcare industry has a wealth of new information about aging. I hope that my podcast will inspire and encourage you to optimize your health span.